Hey everybody, Roger here. I hope you guys are all having a great day. I want to start this video off by saying, number one, I am not a doctor, I'm not a physician, I'm not a licensed medical professional by any means, though I used to be a personal trainer for about 6 or 7 years in the past. I've obviously have changed fields from motivating people to get off their asses and start working out towards a healthy lifestyle, and now I sit on my ass. I do tend to try to keep in shape and stay as healthy as possible now, even though I'm in the tech field, but things are a little different. I'm not again, overall, I am not a licensed professional, so my story here is unique to me, and I am only bringing it up not as medical advice, not as anything like that, but more or less just to let you know that you should stop living in fear of this virus. So a lot of you may know, a lot of you may not know, I used to be a vegan. I was a vegan for about 6.5 years, and it was July of 2018 that I had a sudden change in my life that caused me to immediately start to adapt into a more a diet that consisted of adding meats. So while I was a vegan, I did not eat any. I guess when I started out being a vegan, it was 2012, and January 2012, I believe, or 2013, I can't remember which. But I started out, you know, buying the processed Daiya cheese, you know, trying to get myself used to not eating meat. I already knew at that point in time too that that wasn't the direction I wanted to go. The vegan lifestyle I wanted was to be having more nutrition, less processed stuff. So I did that for about maybe 2 months, and then I slowly got out of the processed portion of it. I started eating mostly just straight up vegan raw diet, and with that, you know, it was 6 years. You know, my body it felt clean, it felt strong, it felt energized for about 5.5. Maybe 5 years. 5 years, I'll say 5 years. And then the last 1.5 years of me being a vegan, I started noticing a lot of internal issues. It would be hard for me to digest food. It would be, I was irritable. The most noticeable thing, among other things, but the most noticeable thing for me was I had alopecia, and it's an autoimmune disease, and it's where your immune system is attacking your hair follicles. And so I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but in my very old videos, especially the ones when I was at the Kilroy free speech event, I had a lot of patches everywhere, and I think people over at the Kilroy event could attest to that as well. When they would see me, you know, patches everywhere, and looked like a soccer ball head. Actually, even at the Kilroy free speech event, it wasn't as bad as it was in later videos. So I would say if you saw my videos from like 2018, you noticed it in 2019, probably, no, I'm sorry, I'm mixing it up. 2017, if you saw my videos, you started seeing probably small patches here and there, and then in 2018 is when it started getting really bad. One time I was at a checkout line at a store, and a little kid in a cart in front of me was like, "Soccer ball, soccer ball, soccer ball," and I knew what he was talking about. It was literally patches everywhere, you know, and it was. I'm a guy that doesn't. I claim to not want to live by my ego, and I really don't. You know, I'm not an egotistical guy by any means. If I'm wrong, I take it. If I'm right, I take it. I'm just very neutral as far as that is concerned, because my whole goal is not to let the ego get in the way of me learning about things, about life, about politics, about technology, things of that nature. I am just that kind of a person. I don't want to have that ego about me. But that really got to me. And then probably about a month or two later, my partner and I were having a dinner at one of our favorite restaurants in Phoenix, and we were having sushi, and it was a packed restaurant this day, and we go in, and I'm we get seated, and we get seated in a middle seat where everybody is all around us. And I couldn't take it anymore. I just felt like everybody was staring at me, and I started, oh God, I'm going to start to do it right now, and I don't want to. I started getting emotional, like I just felt like all eyes were on me, and I really didn't want to be there at that point in time. I can't remember if we just left or whatnot, but it was very hard for me. I felt it. I felt something that I hadn't felt in a long time. When I was younger, I used to be abused. I used to be bullied. I used to have all of these things happen to me that I wouldn't wish on anybody. I mean, there was this one time I got, it was 6th grade, and I was in the shower, and these 3 bullies came up to me, started pissing on me. I screamed, like peeing on me in the shower, and they're laughing. Everybody's laughing. I screamed. The gym coach comes around, sees what's happening, laughs or chuckles, and then walks away. At that point, I knew I was on my own, and that's when I started. My dad got me a gym about a year or 2 later, a home gym, the old weeder ones, and I started working out daily. Went to the, anyways. Long story short, I hadn't been bullied like that, or I hadn't felt that. I hadn't let my ego get to me since that moment, I guess. I don't know. I felt very embarrassed about my condition. I felt very... the feeling was just bad, let's put it that way. So then 2 or 3 months rolls by, and it's July 2018, and I have... let's just say I had a medical, a thing that required medical attention happen to me. I'm not going to go into details of it, but it really changed my lifestyle. I decided I wasn't going to be a vegan anymore. I decided that I needed to start incorporating a more healthier, more balanced diet in my life. And the first piece of meat that I had after that was probably the hardest thing I had done in a while. And I'm in the tech field, so you would think, oh, there's all these security measures and stuff that you need to take that are pretty hard. But this was hard. This was very hard, and the taste of it was just horrid to me. It felt like I was eating decaying flesh, But I started adding bone broth. I started eating grass-fed ground beef from the farmers markets. I started incorporating this into my daily life, and then I started eating liver as well. And through this whole process, I think I owe it especially to the bone broth. My hair started growing back. Now, granted, in the patches that people could see, where I did normally have like no hair, the hair was growing gray. And you guys may or may not have noticed it in my videos. I think if you see me turn to the side a little bit, you can see some of the gray, some of the holes. And sometimes even I would have to shave right here just to make it line up with the other side. It was weird. It was very weird. And it was a very testy time for my ego at that stage of my life. But I started noticing my hair growing back. So the gray was... I had patches, but they were gray. They were filling it with gray. Now, I still do have in the back down here, I'll show you guys. I don't know if you can see it, but right here is probably a big spot. The hair never grows. I have to be okay with this. At this point, I'm happy with the hair growing back normally, and it's not gray anymore, though I am graying, in peace. Normally I'm graying in a normal fashion, which I'm okay with. And I'm okay with this little patch in the back here as well. Overall, what I'm saying is this. A lot of people think that just because you have an autoimmune disease, or you have a deficiency, or you have ailments and stuff, that you have to be afraid of anything that you come into contact with. I am proof otherwise. I took ownership. I've always taken ownership of my health. I know what I do to myself. Right now, I'm having a beer. And I'm probably going to have 2 more by the end of the day. And that's my vice. That I know is going to cause other complications in my body. It weakens your immune system. It can cause me to go into a more, an unhealthy phase. You know, it can cause organs to whatever. It can cause all these other things. It is my choice. It was also my choice to start eating healthy. So my vice is alcohol. And again, I don't have this every day. I have it like once every while, once a week or something. Let's put it that way. But with that, I eat very healthy on everything else that I do in my life. I'll have, chocolate. I like chocolate too. But I have to limit that. That is definitely something that was part of my report that I could not, long story. Let's get out of that. Where I'm going with this is this. I have been going out like at least once or twice a week since this pandemic started for coronavirus. And I don't wear a mask. I wore gloves out of courtesy for one day, and I'm like, fuck, I can't do this. It's like I had to keep taking them off and getting things because I couldn't, get on my phone. I have a checklist on my phone of things that I shop for groceries or whatever, and I couldn't, press the buttons or whatever. Even the gloves that have the tip where it says it can go on your phone and you can still wear the gloves and still press and move everything around. It wasn't working, so I stopped. And I as you know, I have my our thieves oil blend that we do spray on ourselves, my partner and I, whenever we go on to public. If I went to a store, I would spray all over, and I'd spray my hands. I don't use hand sanitizer. I did before, but I don't anymore. Again, hand sanitizers, they fuck with your hormones. They deplete your natural microbiome. They are just bad for you in general. They make you weaker. If you rely on them and you're constantly, using it, you're going to be more susceptible to getting these diseases, and your immune system is going to be weaker and less so able to handle. And again, I'm not a medical professional by any means, like I said, but giving you my advice here and my position of where I'm at. So here I am. I've recovered from my weakened immune system from July 28th to now, and now we have this stupid ass coronavirus faux-demic, and everybody is up in arms. They want you 6 feet apart. They want to make sure that you distance. They want to make sure that you're wearing masks. They want to make sure that you're in your houses and stuff. No. I mean, for me personally anyways, I have not gotten sick from any of this. Knock on wood. We don't know much about this virus, and if there's anybody else that claims out there otherwise, Roger doesn't know what he's talking about because this and this and this and this and this. I tend to watch more videos regarding the subject than I watch Netflix, than I play video games, than I watch Tiger King. I tend to watch a lot more of this content than I do spending time entertaining myself during this lockdown, this pandemic. So I tend to feel like I know more than the average person. Do I know more than the professionals? Absolutely not. My stuff is just opinion. But I'm just saying, me coming into this as somebody who just recently, I would say about a year and a half ago, suffered, from major physical ailments and complications because of the lifestyle that I personally chose. I chose to be a vegan. I knew the consequences of it. I thought I was supplementing right. I wasn't. And so I blame myself for that. I had a very busy, hectic lifestyle. I worked nonstop. I worked in the web development field. I was also a security guy. I did all these things that I wore multiple hats, and my job, my life was stressful, and so that added to heightened cortisol. It added to me being a lot more susceptible to getting sick. Did I get sick while I was a vegan? No. As far as like flus and these colds and whatnot, I never got that kind of sick. The sick that I got was the autoimmune issue that I had with the alopecia, among other things. And so if I was able to go through all this, in about a year and a half, we have coronavirus now, and everybody's afraid of it. And I've recovered from my issues, and I've gone out in public, multiple times a week since this whole stupid thing started. And I don't wear a mask. I don't wear gloves. I use my own thieves oil blend to protect me and to protect others. It's a barrier that helps protect. And I'm not sick. And I'm not dying. And I'm not freaking out. Also, the positive attitude helps. You know, when you start thinking doom and gloom, yeah, your fear is going to take over, and you're going to be more freaked out about everything. Heightened cortisol levels, heightened tension. Your body isn't going to be able to just rest and relax and recover. It's going to be in a constant state of shock all the time. So I don't think like this. I have not been afraid of this virus since day one. I think it's definitely, it's out there for some people. Yes, there are some people. This video is not for you. If you are those that are, you know, you do still have these complications. You are older. You are you didn't hurt yourself to begin with. But and you do have all of these ailments, then yeah, don't follow my guide. Don't follow my lead. I'm not your physician. I'm not your doctor. I'm just giving you my experience as somebody who has gone through the ups and downs of physical and emotional, spiritual, and biological health. I'm letting you know my path, and this is where I'm at right now. And for the majority of people, we don't have to fear this. You know, we're around germs all the time. This is just conditioning us to be weak. This is conditioning us to look at ourselves as one another's enemies. This is just conditioning ourselves to obey the authority. Obey. Watch the movie They Live. You know, and then we eventually turn to idiocracy. Now, for people that didn't do this to themselves, you know, they were born with these conditions. They didn't have a say when their parents were giving them shots and vaccinations, and now that they have medications and they're eating processed foods, you know, those kids I feel sorry for, because they didn't know any better. You know, they're at the mercy of their guardian, their parent. And so, yeah, you know, we're developing into a more weaker society because we're not trusting our natural defenses. We're not trusting our bodies. We're not trusting what God has created us to do, and that's to have these bodies that can naturally fight against the majority of things. Will there be casualties? Of course, there's always casualties in everything, and we have so many other deaths from other things. But we're destroying the world because of this. No, I mean there's way other more complicated things out there, way more other things that we should be concerned about. But we stopped the world for this. No, we didn't stop the world for this. The media and the oligarchy, or whatever you want to call them. I know people get, you know, sometimes they chuckle when I talk about this Illuminati oligarchy stuff, but it's true. It's out there. The people in power, the media, they're the ones hyping all this up, and it's destroying us. They're making us fight against one another. They're making us think that our bodies are not naturally able to fight these things off. And maybe they're right. With the kind of society that we live in, where everything is processed, everybody's taking medications. No matter the side effects include diarrhea, this, blah, 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 blah. Everybody takes their freaking medications. So, in a way, maybe for those people do have to live in fear. I mean, they've already entrusted science and all of these unnatural things to make their bodies to let their bodies function the way that they feel it should, instead of being organic, instead of being natural, instead of being making your own meals. You know, maybe this situation is good for those people. Maybe they should be taking the shots. I'm not here to say that you shouldn't. You know, if you want to go and get your vaccines, if you want to go get your medications, if you want to go and stay in fear and stay in your house and not dig in the dirt and naturally fight off these diseases so they don't get worse. If you want to be that way, that's your decision. And I'm not going to fight you on it. Just don't force me to be abiding by these things. Don't get mad at me when I go out in public and I know better and I don't wear a mask and I know better. I know better what's right for my body based off of my experience and the trials and tribulations that I put myself through with everything. I know what's better for me. I know how my body reacts. We're all unique individuals. No virus is no vaccine is a one vaccine cures all. That's insane to think that, especially when you can't even sue these people. The vaccine makers you can't sue. So for you to entrust something with no warranty, for you to entrust into something where you can't even fight back if you develop these other conditions. I don't understand the logic. Those kind of people still would be like, well, does my car come with a warranty? I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, why would you want a warranty here, but you wouldn't want a warranty for your body? Makes no sense. Obviously, there's a profit motive here, and there's more natural ways to protect yourself during this time. I've already provided many of them. You know, eat healthy, eat organic, don't eat processed foods, don't take medications, all these things. But there's some people that are already in the thick of it, and it makes them feel better. They manipulate themselves to make themselves feel better with taking all this stuff, and then they think, oh well, Roger, you know, well, you went through all this stuff, and now look at you. You're putting yourself out there, putting yourself in danger, going without a mask. You're putting others in danger, especially when you had your autoimmune disease. You know, you're setting yourself up for failure, and you're going to die probably. You know, there's some people that actually think like that. You know, and to you I say, yeah, that's what I say. So look at me. I'm not in any pain. I'm healthy. I'm active. I'm eating right. I don't take medications. I don't take vaccines. I don't take my annual flu shots. I don't do any of that shit. But I'm not going to hold you, and I won't judge you if that's what you want to do. But the moment you start encroaching in my territory about me and my body, then yeah, I will go on the defense. I will go on the attack, and I'll tell you to fuck off. You know, this, and other people that are like me out there like that as well. You know, it's just insane. I wanted to bring all this up because I'm seeing a lot of people freak out. You know, they're all, but we have weakened immune systems and whatnot. You know, we are immunocompromised. We have think about the elderly. Nobody's thinking about this with cigarettes, with the personal choices that some of these people made. Hashtag not all. But some of these people, they did this to themselves. If they're older, their time was already coming. They didn't die because of COVID. They died because of the lifestyles that they chose, eating processed foods, having their immunization shots, having a complicated immune system, having an immune system that was always inflamed, that never knew how to relax. So you have those kind of bodies by the millions in America. They rely on the medications, they rely on processed food, they rely on the quick and easy, and they smoke, they drink, and again, that's my vice too. I know how my death is going to come. If it comes naturally, it's going to be because of something like this, liver failure or whatever. But all these people have, you know, these older people, they were going to be dying of something else instead anyways, but now they're listed as a COVID-19 death to inflate the numbers, to cause more chaos and panic. Tell me that you don't see an agenda here. Remember in the movies when we used to see people, you know, there was a doctor who knew everything, and nobody around him would listen, and we as the viewers were like, oh my God, listen to this person. He's actually right, and nobody can see it. And you're like, and then at the end of the movie, he was right, and people are all back to normal, and he was the hero of the movie. And then you as a viewer, if you're done watching, you're like, wow, it's so stupid. I can't believe the rest of the people in the world didn't see what he was trying to talk about. You know what? Those people are few and far between now, because all those same people who used to watch those movies are now not even looking at the right doctors. They're not looking at the people who don't have a financial incentive in this. They're looking at people like Bill Gates and Fauci and stuff as their gods, as the answer to everything, without questioning anything. It's insane. There's my cat. So yeah, anyways, long story short, don't be afraid. The fear is what they want. They want you to be afraid. Get that inflamed inflammation in your body going. They want your cortisol levels to be high. They want you to freak out about everything. They want you to freak out about killer bees. Stop. Breathe. Change your lifestyle. Change some habits. If you're older and you know that you're going to be, I mean, if you have a fear of dying or whatever, and you don't want to die of like a heart attack or whatever, change the way you eat. Stop eating processed foods, or at least make the transition to start making your own organic foods and whatnot. It's personal ownership and personal accountability. And you know, I respect everybody's decisions. If you want to live gluttonously, do so. It's America. I live gluttonously with my alcohol. I live gluttonously eating the way that I do as well. You can too. Your own choice. But then when people are mad at me, trying to tell me, hey, you know, you're not respecting these people with these compromised immune systems. Well, who compromised their immune systems to begin with? 90+% of them, the majority, themselves. They did it to themselves to get themselves in that position. All their life, they could have made different choices, different health choices, different medication choices. They didn't have to take these shots. They didn't have to take the medications. They didn't have to eat processed foods. They didn't have to live a sedentary lifestyle. They didn't have to sit down and watch Netflix and play video games for years and years and years. They made that choice. Now they're the weakened ones. And now I have to start changing my lifestyle because of it. I have to start wearing masks that would just hinder me, because I know what science and I know what medical things work for me. You know, I do my own research. I do my own due diligence. I don't sit down and watch Netflix all day. Sometimes. But more or less, I'm studying all this stuff. And I try to be aware because I am self-accountable. And I don't need to change my lifestyle because other people didn't do so for all of their life. So that's where I'm at on this. Now, again, one final note. I am not a doctor. This is not advice. This is just my story. Number two, this is not meant, my gripe here is not meant for people who have been born with deficiencies, who didn't have a choice, who didn't have a say in any of where they're at. People with pre-existing conditions, people that didn't develop them through their own habit and their own making. This is not directed to you. For you, there's a place for science, for medical advancement, for medications, for all of those things. But to have everybody else come in and live the gluttonous lifestyle and abuse their bodies and abuse their bodies to the point that now they're the ones that are going to be taking over the medical, what do you call it? They're now abusing, I'm not even going to say abusing because it's America. They are now flooding the gates of the things that could be helping those people with pre-existing conditions. They are now taking over all of those things, and now it's a market, so it's going to be harder for these people who already have these pre-existing conditions to get the care that they need, because everybody else who was gluttonous, again, it's America, they have a right, but those that are gluttonous, they use up the majority of those resources. So I'm very neutral to that, you know, to that viewpoint. It is what it is, but gluttony is an American thing as well, and I do back it. If people want to be gluttonous, let them be gluttonous, but don't try to tread on me with your gluttony. If you were gluttonous enough to do all this stuff over here and have the conditions that you have now, the type 2 diabetes, the heart conditions, the cardiovascular conditions, all these other things, that's your choice. You don't have to get out of your house if you don't want to, if you're afraid, but don't tell me that I have to start bending my freedom, my body autonomy, that I have to start doing things to myself to accommodate you. You didn't take accountability initially. Might sound harsh, might sound cruel, but you know what? It's got to be said. That's all I got to say. So what are your guys' thoughts? Do you think that I should be feeling bad for what I'm saying right now? Do you think that I do need to bend over for people that didn't bend over their entire lives for themselves when they have that bodily autonomy? They have the choices, the freedom of choice to make the choices that they want to be healthy or to be not healthy. Do you think it's my responsibility now? No, I personally don't think so. And I'm going to go about my life, and I'll reap the repercussions or the gains from this choice. You know, if I'm going to go get my ass kicked in public because I'm not wearing a mask, that's my choice. I have nobody to blame but myself. And if I choose to be with a mask, then I would, whatever happens to me happens. You know, if I'm breathing in my own air and it's toxic, and now all your bacteria is coming in, I'm inhaling them. That's whatever, you know, whatever science there is to back any of these supposed issues that could arise from wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. These are the choices that I'm going to face on my own. I know where I'm at. But when those same people come around and say that, hey, you know what, you're being inconsiderate to others, no. Those people, 90+% of them, hashtag not all, those people that did it to themselves were inconsiderate to themselves to begin with. So that's what I got to say. What are your guys' thoughts? I'd like to hear it in the comments. Like, hey, subscribe, unsubscribe, don't share, share. I do love it all. Peace out.